That's right. Solar panels may work a little bit during the day, but they don't work at all at night. Solar panels require the sun. And surprise, surprise, the sun doesn't shine at night.
No, it don't shine at night.
So it means that even if you have a state-of-the-art solar panel on your rooftop, as soon as the sun sets, you've got to get your electricity from someplace else. No one has developed a way to store solar energy so that you will have that energy at your disposal when either it's a cloudy day, you're in the midst of a thunderstorm, or it's nighttime. So these sources of energy, which are unreliable and unaffordable, but are being pushed by the federal government, and most specifically by the Obama administration, the whole idea is to level the so-called playing field. Remember that the people the hedge fund people and all of that who invested heavily in solar and wind power are huge donors.
Yes, they are.
To many congressional Democrats and even some Republicans.
Yes.
And so what they're really doing is rigging the game. But the way they rig the game is, first of all, they have to scare us to death. So they scare us to death by saying that the planet is overheating, that there's going to be all sorts of disaster, which is a matter of fact, none of it is happening. Remember when they told us over and over again that as a result of climate change, we were going to have an increase in hurricane activity and intensity in the Atlantic Ocean. The exact opposite has happened. It has decreased. We don't know why. It would be interesting to find out why, but we don't know it. Not a single hurricane has hit Florida since 2005.
Wow.
At no point since we have been keeping hurricane records has Florida, which you just look at it on the map, looks very vulnerable, sticking out the peninsula, sticking out to the Gulf and to the Atlantic Ocean. You would think it would be extremely vulnerable to Atlantic hurricanes. But as a matter of fact, those hurricanes simply haven't formed, and not enough of them. So here's another prediction that was made confidently. It turns out to be absolutely false.
Well, Dr.
By the way,
Cohen?
the ice cap on in the Antarctica is expanding. It is not contracting. And the ice cap in the North Pole was, in fact, contracting, but it does that periodically. It expands and it contracts, and it's beginning to expand again.
Yeah. Dr. Cohen, I think that you said the key word in your entire presentation here, and thank you very much for your important information, and that is the word control. Barack Obama and his minions want to control human population. They want to control the argument. They have a complicit and compliant media. I don't think we'll ever forget on June 4th, 2008, when Barack Obama said, this was the moment when the rise of the oceans began to slow and our planet began to heal. I thought of the right M word, the big M word that I wanted to use. He is a megalomaniac.
That's right. But you can see, the imagery that these people are prepared to use, and of course Obama being a megalomaniac and being of a narcissistic persuasion, who probably honestly believes this stuff. But he's also perfectly willing to lie and knowing when he's lying in order to promote his agenda. But yes, most certainly, and this is you put your finger on it. It is control.
Yep.
And this is about centralizing the way in which we lead our lives. We don't make the decisions. Elites in Washington, D.C. make them.
You know what? It's no longer elites in Washington, because I think the elites in Washington have ceded their control to the United Nations.
Yes, exactly.
So it's a global,
they're doing that too. In fact, the recent Paris Global Warming Conference or Climate Change Conference that came up with this agreement in December, of course, was put on by the United Nations. There's an interesting kind of cabal that exists. You have all of these countries who have signed on to this scientific nonsense that human beings are behind global warming. The UN, of course, promotes all of this because it gives the UN something to do.
Right.
Now the UN is riding to our defense and saving us from climate change, because if it didn't have climate change to save us from, then the question would arise, well, what do we actually need the UN for?
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
So they trying to justify their existence.
Because they sure aren't doing anything about the Middle East, where there is definite genocide going on. But could I ask you about this carbon tax that they want to do?
Right.
If because I believe that's ultimately where they're going. But is there any numbers projected that say what we already have now? If we go into the carbon trading business, could it? Because coal is worth $22 trillion. Just in the north, the lower 48 states has an estimated $222 trillion worth of coal, and the oil and gas is worth $128 trillion. So, is there anything on the horizon that you could say, well, we're going to trade carbon and we're going to recover those kind of numbers?
Well, yeah, that's the carbon tax thing is very important because this is what they, meaning the Obama administration and its congressional supporters, would love to do. They would love to impose a carbon tax. Now, given the makeup of Congress now, that's not going to happen. But what a carbon tax would do, of course, is drive up the cost of electricity and transportation fuel for every American. And the carbon tax would be imposed on top of the taxes that we already pay. So what they're actually doing is lowering the disposable income of every family in the United States, making it more expensive to use fossil fuels, which again benefits their donors and cronies in the alternative energy industry.
Wealth redistribution.
Wealth redistribution, exactly. And the wealth distribution here is coming mostly and disproportionately out of the pockets of those who can least afford it, and going into the pockets of people who are already quite rich.
My goodness.
These hedge fund people and all of that. The investors, they're already loaded. Believe me.
Yes,
it's criminal.
Matter of fact, can you? We have a line. Gary from Roseville want to ask you a question, Dr. Cohen. So could you put Gary on, please, Derek?
Hello.
Hey, good morning. How you doing, Gary?
Hi. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay,
you can go ahead.
Is there I know that you're one scientist in many. Do they have a group that has been put together of you and a lot of other ones that that can counteract all this propaganda?
Yes, there is. Great question. And I would advise all of our listeners to go to one particular website, which has exactly what the caller asked for. It's called Climate Depot, like a train depot. Climate Depot. Google Climate Depot, and you will find a wealth of information that flies in the face of all of the scare tactics employed by the Obama administration and everyone else who is on the take in what is called the climate hustle. And by the way, speaking of climate hustle, there's a movie that's going to be out in the next few weeks. It's going to be in a theater near you. And the name of the movie, it's a documentary that some friends of mine put together.
Nice.
And it's called Climate Hustle. And it will show you that this whole thing is, in fact, the hustle. As the lady said, it's all about wealth redistribution. And it's all about lining the pockets of people who are already quite well off, thank you.
Yes.
And it's all about manipulating the so-called science behind global warming. And it's about using scare tactics to get us to do things that we otherwise would not do. So be on the lookout for Climate Hustle.
Nice.
Keep abreast of all developments on this subject by going to Climate Depot.
Yeah,
Now,
matter of fact, your website too, nationalcenter.org. So go to his website, also nationalcenter.org, because you're from the National Center for Public Policy and Research. So we want to make sure that people know where you that you're a senior fellow there, also, Dr. Cohen.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And
one question about the Retail Industry Leaders Association. I read your article on that, and it says a cartel masquerading as a trade association, and I believe that this, because of the proximity to the average person, organizations like Walmart and all of them are in that particular cartel. Am I right?
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right.
And so
what these people are doing, they're trying to look, we're socially responsible, and we're green, and we're out there doing things for you. But as a matter of fact, of course, they're simply rigging the game to benefit certain suppliers. It's a cabal. It's cronyism of the worst order. And ultimately, if these people get their way, they will limit the choices that American consumers have when they go to a Walmart or when they go to someplace else, because the only products offered there will be the products that are approved by the members of the cabal, and that has nothing to do with the quality of the products, but whether or not these products are, shall we say, politically correct.
You know what? I'm going to have to cut you off there, Dr. Cohen. I'm going to have you back again. You are absolutely no stranger here. We're at the end of the show. I want to say go to our website, folks, at artofmichigan.com, artofmichigan.com. We are in our sixth year. We need your help so that we can continue. So go to artofmichigan.com. We need your support so that we can continue bringing people like Dr. Cohen on, bringing out this such great information. We're talking about a scientist that does not believe in this foolishness. So, again, thank you. This is our sixth year. Go to our website. We need your support. Go ahead, Phil.
Well,
okay, thank you very much for having
me. Thank you.
Again, we got to have you back.
All right.
And I'll repeat Thomas Edison's remark: until man duplicates a blade of grass, nature can laugh at his so-called scientific knowledge.
See you next week, folks.
By mailing correspondence to Art of Michigan, Post Office Box 135, Garden City, Michigan 48135.
Or follow Phil, Del, and Janice at artofmichigan.com. You can also send emails to artofmichigan@hotmail.com. And most of all, continue to listen every Saturday and tell a friend.